All right, folks. Welcome back. It is week 2, and what we're going to do here is we're just going to go over some of the highlights of each game. Last week, me and Mclovein watched the Eagles and Falcons. That's house pounding. Score highlighted filled game where everybody was changing leads and you didn't know who was going to win and then ended up being
edge of your seat.
Sure, edge of your seat action, fingernails into the leather couch type action where you know anything can go and not really.
I turned to Andy and I said there was a flag on every play. There must have been 28 flags. And I looked at him and I said, this is one of the most sloppiest football games I've ever seen in my life. And the weather had nothing to do with it. And there was a weather delay. The game didn't start. And, we're sitting there and nothing's happening. They're trading punts and field goals. It got kind of interesting at the end, and it came down to the last play. I mean, the last 5 minutes was what we expected the whole game. But, you got to tip your cap to the Eagles' defense. They did what it took to hold on to that win, and they kept them out of the end zone. And Atlanta is now in this funk where when they get inside the 20, it's like they can get down there quick and easy, but when it comes time to punching it in, they have all kinds of trouble on that.
It's like a shout out to Evan Richards, dump dinner quick and easy. So then we had the Steelers and Browns, and I actually, I did a teaser, a 17 teaser, 6-point teaser though, on FanDuel on MyBookie, and I had the Steelers +1, and they were up 21-7.
Yeah.
And then Cleveland ties, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And then it ended up being where both field goal kickers missed the kicks. And the worst part was Cleveland could have won that game, and because the field goal got blocked, you end up in a tie. Now, this is an easy question. I'll give you a layup. Who comes out ahead? Cleveland, the fact that they came back and tied, or the Steelers tying the Browns? Which is worse? The fact that Cleveland couldn't pull out the win after coming back, or the Steelers?
The Steelers.
Yeah, see, it's a layup for you.
But this is something we've talked about for the last 3 or 4 years now, and for some reason, whenever Pittsburgh goes into Cleveland, it's always a barn burner. And I thought for sure that game was over. Obviously not. That's why they play the game. But they each had a chance to win it, and this is something hopefully the league can change. I hate ties. Look, I'd rather lose than
I agree.
tie.
I agree with you too.
And it may sound stupid, but at the same time, you can't end a game. They play 16 of them. I mean, I can see a tie in hockey or soccer or whatever. But when you only play 16 games, how can you finish in a tie? That's something they gotta that'll be a memo to the commissioner.
Yeah, so then the Bengals, I was wrong here on the Colts. I thought the Colts would, with Andrew Luck back, would do something at home against Cincinnati, and no. The Colts' defense is just as porous as ever, and Andy Dalton looked like Joe Montana.
And the Colts were up in the
Actually,
game.
Yeah, here it is. He rallied. The Bengals came back 3 scores in the final 19 minutes, a la Aaron Rodgers, and we'll get to that later.
Correct. So, I was following that game, and I was shocked to see the outcome because I wrote it off as an Indianapolis win. So Cincinnati, came back, and I think Cincinnati is going to be who they are every single year. They're going to be 9-7, and they may make it to 10-6 or 8-8, and Marvin Lewis is just going to be able to coach another year and not win a playoff game. I think the Colts are in a lot of trouble with or without Luck. Like Andy said, their defense is poor. They got a lot of problems, and that's one thing that they never address in the offseason is getting that defense better, but also protecting Andrew Luck and have a running game. And you figure you got 9 months to do that, and then they're the same team as they were the last 3 or 4 years. So we'll see what happens in Indy.
All right. So speaking of seeing what happens, Miami beat Tennessee in the longest NFL game of all time because of the lightning delays. Yeah. So any thoughts on that with your boy Adam Gase there?
Well, I'm glad. I wanted Miami to win, and they won. And, I thought they would at home. At the same time, I think Tennessee's still a really good football team. And obviously, chalk it up to the delay, but obviously the delays always help the home team. For some sort of reason, they have nicer locker rooms. They had more space where intentionally the visiting team always has the smallest locker room out there. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but at the same time, they had to wait around for hours and hours and then come out and finish it. So I was glad to see Miami win.
Well, Jimmy Garoppolo finally lost a game. He didn't play well at all.
Nope.
3 interceptions, I believe. And Kirk Cousins, he did okay, but he didn't. He didn't. Everybody expected when Cousins went to the Vikings, everybody expected him to blow a teams out 400 yards passing every game, sort of a deal. And he may still, but it was an average performance.
Sure. I mean, I think Kirk Cousins with Stephon Diggs are going to hook up for I don't know how many, hopefully a lot because I have Diggs on my fantasy team. But with that being said, it's funny, all it takes is one game, and I just read an article on ESPN or NBC or whatever, and they say Jimmy Garoppolo is one of the 10 most overrated players in the league. And it just goes to show you, it's just like, just in the snap of a finger, it's the world we live in. It's just, what have you done for me lately? And, Garoppolo that's a tough defense. It's a tough place to play in Minnesota. I think he'll rebound and play better against the Lions this week, but we thought Minnesota was going to win. We both missed on the spread, but it was 8 points. It could have easily been 6 points. But that's why you play the game.
Yep. And speaking of playing the game, I was 100% wrong when I said to Pat, I said the Texans are going to trounce us. Now, having said that, I thought Deshaun Watson would be Deshaun Watson prior to his injury, which he wasn't. I didn't think the Patriots' defense would, again, assuming Deshaun Watson was Deshaun Watson before his injury, would be able to hold up. I didn't think the Pats would be able to score many points against a healthy Texans defense for obviously first game of the season. It should be healthy with Watt and Merciless and everything else. But I was wrong, Pat, and Pat said this will be an easy win. And it really was up until the fourth quarter when some random no-name muffed a punt or whatever the hell he did and fumbled it.
They cut him.
Oh, he did? Yeah, sure. He knew as soon as you muffed that punt, you know.
Yeah.
You might as well just take pictures because that'll be the last time yourself in a pit.
Beat the traffic.
And
get out of there.
Yeah.
I think the main thing that made this a good win was they had 5 or 6 sacks. They are actually getting pressure on the quarterback, which we didn't see at all of last year. They didn't get any pressure, no pressure whatsoever. And at the beginning of the season, they had one of the worst defenses. But it's a great sign to see the defense play better than the offense. And they're Gronkowski stepped up, and then what's his name, Dorsett. He caught more balls in the game on Sunday than he's ever probably caught in his career. I think that's a little bit of a stretch, but since he's been with New England, and we were joking, they had it was one James Devlin caught a couple passes in a row. One time it was the leading receiver for the Pats, James Devlin. He was a fullback, by the way, and not like a passing fullback, a guy who blocks. It's what he's there for. And he caught a couple passes, and Cordell Patterson, and Hogan he had one catch, but when you look at the receivers, it's just like, good Lord, where are they gonna? And now they've upgraded a little bit, but still, it's almost like, too little, too late. So it's imperative to keep Gronk healthy and Tom Brady healthy. But I'm happy to see the defense play well.
Well, speaking of too little, too late, imagine if Ryan Fitzpatrick could play like this every game.
Oh, my God.
Too little, too late. Now, again, I told you guys I took that 17 teaser, 6-point teaser. I had New Orleans -4.5 at home with the teaser. -4.5. Tampa Bay raped them. And you could say, oh, they only won by 8. That's really not no. Look, at the end of the day, there is no reason that Ryan Fitzpatrick, against the New Orleans Saints defense that improved every week last year, should throw for 417 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's like me. Well, that's a bad example, but that's like, I don't know, Brett Gardner all of a sudden hitting 40 homers in a season. That shouldn't happen. Right? Brett Gardner, and first guy I thought of, and it's nothing to do with a Yankee diss.
He's not a home run hitter.
That's the point. Neither is Ryan Fitzpatrick, ain't Joe Montana. So the deal now, is he a serviceable quarterback? I think so. He's not horrific, and that's all right. And he's not Nathan Peterman, by the way, who I called all day long last week. And he had a 0.9 QBR, by the way, in one half, which I don't. It's got to be the lowest thing ever. One of the lowest things ever. We'll get to that later when we get to the Buffalo game. But 48-40, thank you, New Orleans. And look, it's not Drew Brees' fault. And here's the funny thing about how we talk about sports. Tom Brady got shit on last year. Not so much. Like if you brought up, oh well, the Pats lost the Super Bowl, but Brady threw for 500 yards. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he didn't win the game for him. He didn't win the game for him. If he wouldn't have had 500 yards, they would have got 42-0. I mean, the bottom line is the defense lost the game. So when you say, oh, Drew Brees had an unbelievable game, yeah, but they lost. It's not Drew Brees' fault. The hell is he supposed to do? He throws for 439 yards and 3 touchdowns, right? And the defense gives up 48 points to Deshaun Jackson, who's 1,000 years old.
Yep.
And everybody else, and Mike Evans and everything else. So,
well, because we were following this game closely when we were at work, and then it was back and forth the whole time. It was 3-0 and 7-3. Then Tampa took the lead 10-7, and then the Saints went up 14-7, and then they went, and then the what do you call it? The Bucs came back, and I think they went up 17-14.
Then at one point they were up 14.
Yeah. So they were down 2 touchdowns at the half, and then it seemed like they'd go down and score, and in New Orleans they just ran out of time. They'd have to be down. They'd be down 14 points, and then they'd be down by 7 points. And I mean, that's a terrible loss for that's a terrible loss for New Orleans. I'll tell you what. That's one of those games where you have Tampa Bay that should be an easy layup, and they just couldn't stop them. So, but hats off to Ryan Fitzpatrick. The guy's been in the league 13, 14 years. He's from Harvard. He's been a journeyman. He's probably made more money than he ever thought he was going to make. And now he's out in 2018 playing the best game of his life. So he's a good guy, and I don't know how many teams he's been on, but it's been a lot.
Well, at least 6. Here's the deal. So Jacksonville goes into the Giants. I had the Giants winning the division. Saquon Barkley had 106 yards rushing, but one of those was a 60-yard or something like that touchdown run. Yeah. So in reality, if you take that out, he had 17 carries for 40 yards. 46 yards. Beckham had 111 yards receiving, but Eli Manning played like shit.
Yep.
And Blake Bortles also played like shit, but at the end of the day, Jacksonville's defense won them that game.
Exactly.
So a lot of people are talking about, Jacksonville's a Super Bowl contender. No, they're not, and here's why.
Well, they don't have a quarterback.
They don't have a quarterback. Yeah, Blake Bortles is who we thought he was, as Denny Green would say. We thought they were who we thought they were. We thought Blake Bortles is who we thought he was. And again, we're jumping the gun. This is after week 1. We'll see what happens 4 or 5 weeks in. But that's what happened there. Now, here we go.
Well,
Nate, you go ahead. You want to comment?
Something about Jacksonville? You look at certain teams. You look at the '86 Bears. You look at the Ravens from 2000 or 99, 2000. Those they won. I mean, quarterbacks that have won that don't. Like Trent Dilfer and what was it, Jim Miller and all these guys and. They had elite defenses, like top 10 defenses of all time. That's the only time that you don't need a great quarterback in order to win. You just need a game manager. Now, with that being said, Jacksonville's defense is not elite. So there's going to be 2 or 3 games where they're going to need Bortles to go down there. Is he capable? I don't know. That's the thing. That's why I think that there's always that hiccup whether you talk about Jacksonville as a Super Bowl contender. Their defense maybe, but their offense certainly is not.
All right, here we go. I had Baltimore minus 1.5, by the way, on that teaser. It's one of the games that came in because Baltimore decided it would be a good idea to literally just take Buffalo, spread those cheeks apart, and enter with like it was a last hurrah.
Yes.
And after the last hurrah was blown. It was a 47-3 beatdown.
That was a pounding.
It wasn't even. There was no lube involved here.
No,
it was aggressive.
It was
like I'm gonna sexually attack you, pounding.
Nonstop.
Yeah, and speaking of nonstop, Nathan Peterman, who I said last week I could probably do better than. Now, I'm out of shape as hell. I played football, but not at quarterback. 5 of 18 for 24 yards. 1.3 yards per attempt, 2 interceptions. He got sacked 3 times for 12 yards, and his QBR was 0.7. I have a feeling that if I was in the game and I could throw the ball 18 times, if I just hucked one up in the vicinity of a receiver, by dumb luck, I'd find 24-yard gain. I mean,
you wouldn't even get the pass off.
Well, because I'm 5'11", probably not. Okay, because but
providing
if I had 2 seconds, hike, I get the ball and then just heave it somewhere. That's all I had to do. That's all I would have to do. I think I get 24 yards because I'm sorry. And here's the thing, and I listened to this on Sports Talk Radio because I was driving the other day. But the deal is this, and Peter King was on Mad Dog's show. What was, and look, Peter King's right, what was going through the general manager's head? Here's the deal. You know Josh Allen's not going to start. You don't want him to. So you trade McCarron for a 6th-round pick.
Yeah.
And you're saying, oh, well, Peterman looked great in the preseason. Let's trade McCarron.
He's garbage.
Because we can get something out of him. So what you got out of him was a 6th-round pick, which is basically like, you bought a lottery ticket.
Exactly.
Yeah, and a lot of Cincinnati fans who don't like Dalton wanted McCarron to start, like Bill, for example.
He played well when he stepped in for him.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play well in the playoff game, but, at the end of the day, that's what you got, right? He played in the playoffs, didn't he? Am I talking about the same guy?
I think so.
Yeah. Way back in the day, when Dalton was injured. But here's the deal. Nathan, we saw what Peterman did last year. It was horrific. This was, I think, even worse. Yeah. It's like Jamie Foxx on any given Sunday when he walks in and throws up, and at least he can perform. This guy walks in and shits his pants in 2 seconds. So you throw poor Josh Allen in, who has no idea what's going on. They probably did nothing with him in the preseason, as far as he probably just watched both McCarron and Peterman, and take it easy this year. And here's the problem now. And Bill O'Brien went through this with Houston way back in the day when he benched everyone and their mother. Yep. Brian Hoyer, and then what's that other guy's name? What was his name?
They
had a cool name.
They had the kid that used to play for.
He was on the Pats too.
Yeah, the Pats draft, and he's out of Arkansas.
He had a cool name. He had like a futuristic name.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But yeah, I remember
So they go back and forth between the two.
Correct.
And the team's like, what the hell's going on? So now what you've said, okay, unless you just bench him for a half and say, okay, look, obviously he's getting mauled. We'll work with him this week, and he'll be our starting quarterback going forward. But if you say that, you need to play him the whole game.
Correct.
Because once you pull him, what are you going to do? Pull him every half and then throw Josh Allen in and have like a quarterback cut by committee?
Yeah.
You can't. And then if you throw Josh Allen in, you could risk, as Peter King said, you could risk shell-shocking him to the point where he's never the same.
Exactly.
So now there's not rumors, but there's Kaepernick's on the sidelines here, but you're not going to draft Kaepernick because what does it say about Peterman? Peterman's never going to look. Peterman is never going to be an NFL quarterback on any team ever again. It's not going to happen. 2 games, and I think he has 40 yards total or something stupid like that. You know what I mean, or whatever. How many games he played?
I knew he was bad. I didn't think he was this bad. You would think that slate clean, everyone 0-0, that they could find a better person, better player to trot out there week 1. But apparently they thought a lot higher about Nate Peterman, is that his name, than anybody else did. So, I think they're in for a long year.
They're like Deb in fantasy world. All right, speaking of fantasy world, I picked the Chargers. They fucked me. Kansas City, Alex Smith, man, he's one of those guys that is just he doesn't matter what.
He plays for Washington.
I'm sorry. I was thinking of Washington. Yeah. I was thinking of Washington in my head because that's the next game on the docket. But you're right. I'm sorry. Mahomes. Now here's the thing about Mahomes. Last year in a couple games, he didn't really look that good against the Chargers, who has a pretty good defense, and Anthony Lynn's a defensive guy.
That was a shock.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be that. I mean, the Chargers scored 28 points. But they gave up 38.
Sure.
So
that was a shock that the Chiefs went in there and took
in LA. LA. All right, Washington, Arizona. Alex Smith again. Like I said, he's just a. No matter what team he plays for, he's going to put up numbers. He's going to manage the game right.
Exactly.
Arizona's garbage. So I don't really take any stock in a 24-6 win.
But still,
Arizona.
It's on the road. It's. The Skins notoriously don't always play great on the road, and it's the first game. You never know who's coming out. You're still playing on the road. I think you got to tip your cap because that game was basically over before it started. And, you got to get Greg Minuski and Jim Tomsula, the defense out there. But I think Alex is a true veteran now. He knows what to do. He's smart as hell. He won't beat you. And unfortunately, a lot of his growing pains were when I was out there with San Francisco and, we couldn't win a game. But it's good to see him now being somewhat successul.
Speaking of somewhat successful, Vance Joseph had this to say about Paxton Lynch, about Case Keenum. And this is what he had to say. Jeff Legwold, by the way, ESPN senior writer, shared this an hour ago. After Wednesday's practice, one of the things Broncos coach, your boy Vance Joseph, VJ, as you would call him, said of the biggest things that stood out to him during Sunday's win was how quarterback Case Keenum bounced back from each of 3 interceptions. Joseph said, quote, after watching the film numerous times, after the interceptions, he had his best drive. So that speaks to his confidence. That speaks to him not folding. I was really impressed with Case on the sideline. I mean, he didn't go into the tank at all. He kept his teammates going, and obviously he kept the ball moving after his mistakes. The Broncos had 2 fourth-quarter scoring drives in a comeback win Sunday. Both came after Keenum's 3rd interception. Keenum said, quote, no matter what's happened, we're still in the game. We're going to run our offense. We're going to be in attack mode. I thought everybody trusted the process and kept moving right along. Now, here's the thing. The only reason Denver, in my opinion, the last 2 years has not been that great, and yes, the defense has gotten worse every year, but they're still a good defense.
Yeah.
Von Miller's still there. I know Keith Talib's on the Rams.
They got a lot of good,
but they still got good defense. But they've had no quarterback.
Correct.
Case Keenum's a decent quarterback, and if
he's better than decent.
Sure, I'm decent being safe, but with tons of upside. Sure.
He's a top 15 quarterback.
Yeah. But at the same time here, Broncos could be a scary team this year. Not scary like they're going to go 13-3 scary, but scary in the fact that if they make the playoffs, nobody's going to want to face them, especially if they have home field advantage. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Right now, at the Pats probably do play the Broncos this year. They always do. I don't know about that game. We'll see though. Is it in Denver? Or is it finally New England? We haven't had a game against Denver and New England in 1,000 years. All right. Panthers and Cowboys. And I have a lot of Facebook friends who are Cowboy fans, and they're amped up, and they're ready to go. Come on, D. Big D this, Big D that, blah, blah, blah. And about 20 minutes in, fire Jason Garrett is all I saw. Fire Jason Garrett. Here's the deal. Jason Garrett may be calling the plays, but Dak Prescott, we all know now, is not an elite quarterback. He's just not. And there's no excuse.
I don't think he was ever an elite.
Well, everybody, when they went 14-2, everybody was like, "Oh my God, thank you."
That was because of the running back.
Well, with the running back, correct, but it's also he didn't have hardly any interceptions, hardly any turnovers.
Exactly.
Everything else. We saw what happens when you don't have him. But then Ezekiel Elliott played. Now he only had 69 yards rushing, but at the end of the day, Carolina's defense is decent. It's a very good defense. They're at home. But I have a feeling that it's going to be a long because they don't have a quarterback. Same thing Denver is running into now. You're used to now. I think Dallas is going to be.
I think Dallas will be okay in the long run. I think in Jerry world, I think they still have enough talent on the team to be decent. But I think they'll be better than what they showed on Sunday against Carolina.
Well, speaking of Sunday, Chicago. Now, I was watching this game. It was 7-0 at one point. Then the Bears kicked a field goal. I went to sleep when it was 13-0 because I had to get up for work, obviously, the next day. And I was like, okay, that's it. And Aaron Rodgers. I said my buddy's a huge Bears fan because he's from Illinois, Mike, and he's outside on the phone. And I said to him, I screamed to him, "Hey, I think Aaron Rodgers is out for the year." I think because if you looked at that, it looked horrific.
Yep.
He's in an MCL sprain, I believe, is really what it is. And he comes back, and I didn't even know this. I look at my phone the next day, and I can't believe it says Aaron Rodgers, come back of the ages.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come back, and that means 2 things.
3 touchdowns.
That means 2 things. Come back from that injury and came back to win the game. It's unbelievable. And if I'm Matt Nagy, not to be confused with Charles Nagy, the Cleveland Indians.
Who went to the University of Connecticut.
Who, Charles Nagy?
Yeah, Chuck Nagy.
Chuck Nagy. So, but if I'm him, that's as bad of a loss as you can have because you're literally it's almost like being in a situation where statistically you shouldn't be in there.
Yep.
And you're 2 seconds away from winning $1 million and one screwy move and you miscalculate something, and then you end up losing everything.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that the Bears have one screwy move, but the fact that Mitch Trubisky couldn't do anything in the fourth quarter is a shame, because for him to be considered an elite quarterback, he's going to have to show that he can do that. And he was, again, serviceable for 3 quarters. And here's the other thing. How many times were they in the red zone? I remember in the first half watching that, and they came away with a field goal. That's going to change, too.
Exactly. Look, I mean, they had Green Bay down and pinned, and it was all, signed, sealed, delivered. Rodgers was in the locker room, and, he came out, and it's almost like when he came back out and started playing well, Chicago just, shit the bed. So, but I was surprised to see how, for, what do you call it, a half, 3 quarters, how decent that Chicago looked. I didn't think they'd look that good this early.
All right, so Jets come into Detroit, and our boy Fat Matt Patricia, and I had Detroit, I think, plus whatever on the teaser.
No, we had the
on the teaser or whatever I did. I don't. You know what? I don't think I even touched this game. I don't remember. No, I don't remember.
You had them.
I did have them, right? I think I had them plus something or minus something. That's from Luna. It's got to be.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that.
No problem.
But look, Sam Darnold played well.
He played very well.
And not only that, the Jets' defense played unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Like, you've never seen him play like that ever.
And Peter King, again, on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Peter King was talking about how in the Jim Caldwell era,
yeah,
in all 3 phases of the game, they never looked as bad as they did on Sunday night. Or Monday night.
Sure.
Now, having said that, there was an article I read to Mclovein this today on ESPN it was on EEI.
Yep.
About how apparently all the veterans of Detroit's locker room they hate Matt Patricia because he's trying to be mini Belichick.
Yep.
And they're rubbing them the wrong way, and so they don't want to play for him, or basically alluding to that fact. So this will be an interesting year. I have a feeling. Now, you could be. I'm going to throw this out there, and you tell me if you think I'm out at left field or if it's a possibility. God forbid Detroit goes 4-12.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Patricia just says, screw this,
no,
and I'm going to go back to Belichick and be a defensive coordinator? No? Never going to happen.
First of all, he's never going to quit. Okay? He may get fired, but he'll never quit, because if he quits, he gives up his money. If he gets fired, they have to
pay him. Okay,
exactly. Sure. But, look, it's one game. The first 4 weeks is where you establish your position. I don't think that they're going to look this bad every week. At the same time, they were at home. It was Monday night. It was you couldn't have a better crowd, and the Jets just came in there and whooped them. And this is after the first pass of the game. Detroit picked it off and they were up 7-0. So think about it like that. So if they go up 7, what was the final score?
48-17.
Yeah, so they outscored them 48-10 going away, and you got to tip. I mean, Bowles actually, I guess he for the first time that he's been there as the Jets head coach, they've actually played a good game. It's always shaky with the Jets, but they were clicking on all cylinders.
Worst game: New Orleans losing to Tampa at home, or Detroit losing to the Jets at home?
New Orleans losing to Tampa.
And then the final game was close, really, throughout halftime into the third quarter, and then the Rams pulled away 33-13 over John Gruden and the Raiders. John Gruden, again, I'm going to throw something out there, and you may think I'm overthinking this, but what are the odds that everybody's on the Raiders are so mesmerized by it's John Gruden, that they just make tons of mental mistakes in the game because they're trying not please John Gruden?
When they play football, I don't think they're thinking about John Gruden at all. I think they're thinking about playing football. The Rams are a good team. They're my pick to go to the Super Bowl. I really, unless barring major injury, they're going to win a lot of games this year.
Rams are good. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the comments section of the video.
Okay.
And I'm going to read what a lot of you guys have talked about in the comments section here.
Right.
Some of you called me out. Some of you asked questions. Some of you just commenting. So, first up, we got Dan McLean. He says, "Let's go!" 3 exclamation points. It feels good to be back for another season.
Yep.
Didn't think you guys were going to do it for a second. Good luck, everyone. All right, let's see. Orlando Mascoro who commented that said the video is frozen. Everybody helped correct him because not only did I mention in the comment in the description, Joe Giles calling you out. He says it will not be hard to beat Mclovein. Zell goes hard commenting on me. Tennessee is horrific. How so? Mariota was under Malarkey's offense under LaFleur and now has helped a lot of quarterbacks' careers. I'm glad he called you out on that because you sound stupid. Beat the Jags twice and puts a face laughing like he couldn't believe what I said. So meaning you called me out on it because you said they're not horrific.
Well, they're not.
Rainbow Child. Jesus, does this guy even know Tennessee won a playoff game? They didn't just sneak in. How can you say a team that won a playoff game last year is horrific?
Correct.
Again, I'll go back to it. If I'm 6-10 and make the playoffs, and I beat a team who's 7-9, I mean, come on. It's not like they were. It's not like they were.
But they beat a good team in the playoffs.
Who did they beat?
Didn't they beat
Kansas City?
Yeah.
All right. Joe Giles. So where do we find McBeanbag's picks? Let's see. Joe Giles also said he was 5-2 so far at one point. So he's trolling everybody.
McBeanbag?
Yeah, McBeanbags. Yeah.
Oh God.
All right. Then we have. Let's see. What else we got here? So a lot of people. One guy had a question.
I know I saw a fantasy football.
Yeah. So I'm going to try to get that. All right. The best guy ever says, love the football season. Favorite time of the year. Let's do this. He's excited.
Yep.
Vadix99. Kickoff has begun. Picks are closed. Thank you, referee Vadix. Appreciate that. Now, it's good that he's doing that because then I can just look at where he commented and know that anybody else other than that, is disqualified from entering. Let's see. What else we got? Okay. We got stuff. Here we go. B. Menyo. Was Mclovein at UConn when Sherman was there, 07-11?
No, but I've met him a couple times. Great guy, hell of a player. And, there's like, I think, that 8 to 10 UConn players in the NFL, which is shocking. But he's a great guy, great player. But no, I started in UConn in 2012.
Kabraki1 says, hopefully every field implodes on opening day and these NFL cunts are gone forever.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Let's see. What else we got? All right, David G says, y'all sleeping on the Cowboys. Dak Prescott has won 22 games in 2 NFL seasons, and this year there's no worry about an Elliott suspension. He's hungry and he's going to be eating. Our pass rush is the best it's been in years, and after week 4, we get David Irving back. Expect this defense to make noise this year. Dallas wins the division. Don't sleep on the boys.
Well, they're 0-1, so.
They're 0-1.
I like the passion. I like the passion. That's good. We like that passion.
Now, this is interesting. Jennifer Lynn, little Goldilocks over here, she commented on Chad Hansen. And I said, who the hell's Chad Hansen? Listen to this. Chad Hansen was on the Jets for 1 year. They never developed him. Stunk in training camp and preseason games. We'll go to the Patriots, and Brady will make him look like the next Wes Welker. Shake my head.
And then she predicted the Dodgers over the Yankees.
She did. Or it was yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Spencer Higgs says, Tim Boyle went to my high school, therefore he is better than Kaiser.
Okay. Tim Boyle's, like I said, great kid. He had a hell of an arm. He's a big 6'3", 6'4", and, I hope he does well.
All right, VGK number 1.
Yeah.
Thoughts on my 12-team FFL squad.
Okay.
Quarterback, Jared Goff. Running back, Ezekiel Elliott. Running back, Jamal Williams. Wide receiver, A.J. Green. Wide receiver, Keenan Allen. Wide receiver, Robbie Anderson.
Wow.
Tight end, Zach Ertz. Kicker, Justin Tucker. Vikings defense. For his bench, he has running back Carlos Hyde. Running back Austin Eckler. Running back Tariq Cohen. Wide receiver, Jamison Crowder. And wide receiver, Rashard Matthews.
Well, it's a 12-teamer.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a starting lineup for a 12-teamer. You drafted well for your starting positions. Goff, I think Goff's going to have a big year. He's got a lot of Gurley coming out of the backfield. He's got he's got Woods. He's got Watkins. They got a bunch of talent there. I think that Goff's going to have a good year. Ezekiel Elliott can't with the amount of touches he's going to get in carries and touchdowns. The wide receivers were Keenan Allen, who's a stud, and A.J. Green, who's a stud. Zach Ertz as a tight end in Minnesota's defense. I think you have a very solid team. Obviously, I don't know the other 11 teams, but that's I'd give your team a B+. Where you're going to maybe get hurt with your Achilles heel is probably your bench, unless one of those young guys comes out of nowhere. But I think you have a good team, and I think if everyone stays healthy, I think that team, that your fantasy team, should make the playoffs.
All right. So right here, you're gonna see the standings for everybody who put picks in. Mm-hmm. Now remember, there's two things I'm going to say in this video. Okay, right now. Number one, well, there's really three. Number one, you have to be a subscriber. Well, I went to look at my subscriber base, and I found out that there's a default setting for people who just created an account that will not show that they're in my subscriber base if they really did. So I'm saying it right here, and it will be in the description box. I'm giving you guys 1 week to make yourselves public so I can see that you subscribe to the channel. In the event you don't, do not be surprised when you're deleted from the standings. Okay? I'm also going to put it in the description box for those of you who claim that you were too lazy to watch and listen to the whole video. So you'll have it there too. Number two, I know what I said when I said if people edit their picks, they're not valid. In my head, I knew what I meant. However, what came out was not what I obviously meant. So let me clarify that, because a lot of people are commenting and emailing me and everything else. Oh, people are changing their picks. If you edit your picks, but it's still before kickoff, that's fine. If you edit your picks after the game, that is not fine. So what I mean by that is, let's say at 4 o'clock on Thursday Eastern Standard Time, you throw your picks down, and then either you forget to put one in, or you forget to put one, or you want to change something before Thursday night kickoff, that's perfectly fine. So all those edited picks, I counted like 95% of them. So you'll see that in the standings. Now, you'll also see in the standings in bold, me, Mclovein, and EDP. A ton of people won gift cards last week, as you'll see. And remember, if you play every week, you're still in the hunt. Even if you won a gift card today or last week and you don't pick for week 2, you're automatically gone. You don't get your gift card. You got to maintain 16 games into the playoffs. So we'll talk about that every week. But for now, take a look at the standings and listen to this sexy music. All right, we're back, guys, and after the standings that you've just seen, let's go into our Week 2 picks. Okay? And this sexy fucker, we're going to go right into Week 2. I apologize for the swears.
It's all right. Da's a big boy.
Yeah, but I know he doesn't,
It's for any ball game. You should be
for any ball game. Well, all we got to do is just drink a Michelob Ultra and throw our loafers at the TV, and we'll be good. All right, Thursday, September 13th. Baltimore, Cincinnati. This is going to be a rough game. I think Baltimore is going to win.
What's the spread?
So Baltimore's 1-0. Cincinnati's 1-0. And Cincinnati at home favored by 1. Might as well be a pick 'em at that point.
Baltimore.
Yeah.
So Baltimore +1.
AA and then PM, and then we both have Baltimore +1. Yeah.
Okay.
Baltimore's going to start out 2-0. Look at them. All right, Carolina, 1 o'clock game. Carolina 1-0 going into Atlanta 0-1. Atlanta favored by 6. This is a toughie.
Carolina +6.
You're taking Carolina plus the points.
Yep.
So you think it's going to be a three-point
I think it's
deal.
going to be. I think Atlanta's going to be up by 10 to 14 points the entire game, and I think Carolina's going to score a touchdown at the end to cut it to 6 or 5. They'll cover the spread, but I think it's going to be Atlanta will be in control the whole game.
So you don't. All right. So I'm going to gamble here. I'm going to take Atlanta -6. I don't think they lose 2 in a row at home. Well, let me rephrase. Atlanta could obviously still win, but not cover.
Correct.
I think Atlanta will win by more than. I think Atlanta will win by like 8 or 9, if that's even a weird number to do. But whatever. All right, LA Chargers 0-1 going into Buffalo, who's 0-1. Chargers are favored by 7.5. And obviously, I'm taking the LA Chargers -7.5.
I'm going to take Buffalo plus the points.
Wow.
+7.5.
So you think even with Peterman there, the defense will hold the Chargers to X
For
amount?
some reason, teams that travel from the East Coast, from the West Coast to the East Coast, that go and play at Buffalo, for some reason, I always like to take Buffalo at home plus, especially if it's now if it was 6.5, it might be a different story. But since it's 7.5. See what Buffalo can do for us.
All right, now, next game is Minnesota going into Green Bay. Mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers is probably going to play, but he's going to be hobbled probably. Minnesota has a great defense. Green Bay's favorite. They're both 1-0. Packers are 1-0 at home. By the way, my OCD kicks in. Ravens and Bengals are 0-0 at home. Ravens are 0-0 away. Panthers are 0-0 away. Falcons are 0-0 at home. And by the way, when I said the Falcons are not going to lose 2 at home, I was also wrong because not only can they win and still win it to cover the spread, but win at home, they weren't home last week. They're stupid me. They were in Philly.
Yep.
So I apologize. Caught myself there. Chargers are 0-0 away. Bills are 0-0 at home. Vikings are 0-0 away, but the Packers are 1-0 at home. Packers are favored by 1. I'm going to take Minnesota +1.
Minnesota +1.
All right, and then next game, Houston 0-1, 0-1 on the road against Tennessee 0-1, 0-0 at home. Houston favored by 1.5 on the road in Tennessee. I'm taking Houston -1.5.
I'll take Tennessee.
+1.5?
Yep.
Okay. Cleveland Browns 0-1, 0-0 on the road. Going into New Orleans to face the Saints, who are 0-1 and 0-1 at home. New Orleans by 8.5. Oof. I'm going to take New Orleans -8.5.
I'm going to take Cleveland +8.5.
Okay. Miami 1-0, 0-0 on the road, going in to face Sam Darnold and the New York Football Jets. 1-0, 0-0 at home. Jets are favored by 3 in a pick'em.
It's a pick'em?
Well, it's Jets are favored by 3. I always thought you said a pick'em's basically 3.
Well, the other way around. If it's
the visiting team would be a pick'em if they were favored.
No, if the home team's favored by 3, it's basically a pick'em.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Jets are favored by 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Miami plus the points.
Ugh. I'm going to take. After that win on the road, the crowd's going to be bananas. I'm going to take the Jets -3.
Yep.
And you're taking Miami +3.
Yep.
All right. Kansas City 1-0, 1-0 on the road, going into Pittsburgh to face the Steelers, who are 0-1. No record, obviously, at home. Pittsburgh at home, favored by 4 over the Chiefs.
Kansas City +4.
I agree. Then we got Philadelphia 1-0, 0-0 on the road, going into Tampa to face red-hot Ryan Fitzpatrick, 1-0, no record at home. Philly on the road, favored by 3.5.
Philly -3.5.
Ugh, I can't.
What?
I can't. I'm taking Tampa -3.5, and then why is a +3.5? And why say that? You're taking Philly, right? Nick Foles, they scored 18 points against the Falcons.
Okay.
They were at home.
Okay.
They eked it out.
Yep.
I'm not saying Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's shown. I think Tampa wins this by a field goal.
All right.
But we'll see. You know, I'm freaking out over here, like I'm trying to decide between the soup or the salad here. Colts 0-1, 0-0 on the road, going into Washington to face the undefeated Redskins at 1-0, 0-0 at home. Washington at home favored by 6 over the Colts.
Washington -6.
I agree. Then the 4:05 game, we have the Arizona Cardinals 0-1, no record on the road, versus the Rams 1-0, no record at home. Rams are favored by 13.
Oof, that's too many points. Arizona +13.
I'm taking LA -13.
That's. You know what? They might win by 6 touchdowns, but still, the 13.
Well, Fat Matt Patricia hopes he wins by 6 touchdowns because he's 0-1, no record on the road, going in to face his former teammate, if you will, Garoppolo, 0-1, no record at home. San Francisco at home favored by 6 over the lowly Lions.
I'm going to take Detroit +6.
Taking San Fran -6, you're taking Detroit +6. All right, 4:25 game, we have the Raiders. The Oakland Raiders at 0-1, no record on the road with John Gruden, going into Mile High to face VJ, your boy, and Case Keenum and company. 1-0, 1-0 at home. Denver favored by 6.
Denver -6.
I agree with that. And then at 4:25, which we should be able to see as soon as we get out of work, we have the New England Patriots, the undefeated Pats, and Mclovein's happy that he called me out on that. 1-0, 0-0 on the road, going into Jacksonville for a rematch of the AFC Championship game, although it's in Jacksonville this time.
Game of the week.
Pats are favored. I don't know why it's not the Sunday night game, but the Pats are 1, or even a Monday night game. The Pats are favored by 1.
New England -1.
All right, I agree with that, only because Jacksonville looked like crap against the Giants. The Giants, speaking of which, is a Sunday night game. The Giants 0-1, no record on the road, going into Dallas to face the Cowboys, who are 0-1, no record at home. Dallas favored by 3 in a pick'em game. It's -3, but it's a pick'em. You know, I call it a pick'em. You know the deal.
Giants +3.
Yeah, I have to. I agree with that. Yeah. All right, and then Monday night's game, the lone Monday night game. Seattle 0-1, 0-1 on the road against the Bears, 0-1, no record at home. Bears favored by 3.5, and this is interesting because I believe who said Field Yates on ESPN tweeted Seahawks by 30 on Monday night.
Well, I don't know if the Seahawks are going to win by 30, but I'm going to take Seattle plus the points.
Sure, Seattle plus 3.5, right?
Yep.
All right, so I last week against the spread finished 7-8-1. You finished 6-9-1. Mm-hmm. And let's see, how many games do we differ? We have the Atlanta-Carolina game. I have Atlanta +6. You have Carolina +6. I have the Chargers -7.5. You have Buffalo +7.5, so that's 2 games. I have Houston -1.5. You have Tennessee +1.5. That's 3 games. I have New Orleans -8.5. You have Cleveland +8.5. That's 4 games. I have the Jets -3. You have Miami +3. That's 5 games. I have Tampa +3.5. You have Philly -3.5. That's 6 games. I have the Rams -13. You have the Arizona Cardinals +13. That's 7 games. I have the 49ers -6. You have the Lions +6. That's 8 games. New England -1. Wait a minute.
We both.
You have New England, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why I put that there. Okay, and then the Giants we both have, and Seattle we both have. So 8 games. Half the games. We'll see what happens. I only have a 1-game lead. And then now's our time to call our best friend and buddy, who comes at us every day with new videos. Let's call our bro EDP, and we'll see what he says.
EDP445.
He's coming at you with another video.
Dad loves when EDP comes in.
Yeah, he's his favorite guy. It's like a Muppet come to life for Dad. It's like, you know, a fan, like a celebrity.
Yo, what up, Andy? What's going on?
Hey, what's up, man? We got Mclovein on the show here.
Oh shit! Hey, what up, Mclovein?
What's up, buddy? Did you have a good time with the game?
What happened? Oh, yeah. I mean, the shit was beast as fuck. You know what I mean? The only complaint I have was that nigga, it was humid as a motherfucker.
I'm sure it was with all the rain. Yeah.
It was hot as fuck.
So speaking of hot as fuck, I got a picture I'm going to send you later. You're going to like that. Okay, you're gonna love it. So anyway, last week you end up finishing second. Mclovein finished 8-8. You finished 7-9, and I finished 6-10 in the standings. So you're gonna see when you watch the video this week, you're gonna see the standings up and running. Everybody you told to come over and watch the video, they end up watching it, and they saw the picks video with your week 1 picks there, and a lot of people participated, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that was awesome. Over 100 people, man. So I appreciate that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So let's go right on here. Let's go into week 2. And the Thursday night game, you got Baltimore and Cincinnati. Who do you got? Baltimore's going into Cincinnati.
Sorry, Baltimore.
Baltimore. All right. EDP. Baltimore. All right. I just realized we forgot to do ours, so let's do them right now.
Baltimore.
All right. We all have Baltimore. Okay. Now we got Sunday game. We got Carolina going into Atlanta. Who do you got?
Carolina.
EDP is Carolina. I have Atlanta. Who do you have?
Atlanta.
Atlanta. All right. We got the Chargers going into Buffalo and Nate Peterman. Every time I hear Nate Peterman, I think he has like a small. You know what I mean? It's like a little Peterman. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
So. I got the Chargers. Who do you got, EDP?
Chargers also.
Chargers.
All right, we all got the Chargers. We got Minnesota going into Green Bay. I got Minnesota. EDP, who do you got?
Green Bay.
Minnesota.
Pat has Minnesota. Then we got Houston going into Tennessee. EDP, who do you got?
Houston.
Tennessee.
I have Houston also. Pat has Tennessee. Cleveland going into New Orleans. Who do you got, EDP?
I'm going to take the Browns.
New Orleans.
New Orleans for Pat and me. Miami going into the Jets. Who do you got?
Jets.
Dolphins.
I'm also taking the Jets. Miami for Mclovein. Then we got Kansas City going into Pittsburgh.
Oh, shit. I'm going to take Pittsburgh.
Kansas City.
What did I put for the spread here?
You took Kansas City plus the points.
+4, huh? Jeez. I'm going to take Kansas City. And Mclovein has Pittsburgh, right?
No, Kansas City.
Oh, you have Kansas City too? Okay. All right, and then we got your Eagles going into Tampa to face Ryan Fitzpatrick, the shades of Joe Montana. Who do you got?
Oh, fuck. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to take the Eagles, man.
There we go. I'm going to take the Eagles.
I'm going to take Tampa. And Mclovein has the Eagles. All right, we got the Colts going into Washington.
Washington.
I agree. All right, then we got Arizona going in to face the Rams.
Oh.
Get the fuck out of here. I got the Rams, dude.
Rams.
All right, we all agree on that. Detroit going in to face the 49ers.
49ers.
San Francisco.
Yeah, I think we all have that too. And then Oakland going in to face Denver.
Oh,
Denver.
We all have that. The Pats going in to face Jacksonville.
We know who he's taking.
Yeah, we know who he's taking is right.
Oh, man. I'm going to take Jacksonville, bro.
Sure.
New England.
All right, we both have New England. And then we have the Sunday night game where you're going to eat some pastrami fries at what the fucking place called? Leo's. And you're going to watch that Giants-Cowboys game after your Eagles beat Tampa Bay, so you're going to be excited as fuck. So who do you got? Giants going into Dallas.
Giants.
Me too. Giants.
I think we all had the Giants, right? Did I have Dallas? No, I had Giants plus the points, didn't I? Yeah. We all believe the Giants are going to win. And then the last game, Monday night game, Seattle going into Chicago to face Matt Nagy and Mitchell Trubisky's. Seattle. We all have Seattle.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man. EDP, thanks a lot, man, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man.
See ya. Take care.
All right, guys, that has been in week 2 in the books. Good show. Hopefully our technical difficulties won't happen, and we can be able to actually have a not a Frozen video, as Oscar wanted to say, whatever his name was.
Speaking of Frozen, I'm a popsicle right now.
Oh, yeah, the AC in the game room is on.
You have no idea the rain when we left work. It was a monsoon, and I'm sitting there in my car. It was probably about 10 yards, and I am soaked like I've never been soaked before. And now coming in here with it feel like a popsicle. So anyway, if you even care about that, probably not.
Sure. So week 2, guys, and remember, throw in the comment section if you have questions about your fantasy team, if you have questions about who you should draft, or whatever the case is, or who you should trade for, whatever the case may be. Feel free to throw that in there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great week.